Basically, Washington got to a point where it decided that it was doing more harm than good to them to have him on the roster. I mean, look, go back a week, and he was in trouble for off-field behavior that could have brought the COVID-19 virus into the facility, right? So they strip him of his captaincy, they fine him $40,000, but they still give him the start Sunday because Alex Smith can't go. So they're offering him a chance, like, hey, man, show us that you've learned from the experience of this year, last year, and that you've grown and that you're ready to deliver at a high level for us. The exact opposite happened. He was unable to do anything to help them win a game that they needed to win. So now you have a situation where both off the field and on the field, not only is he not helping you, but he's actively hurting you. They know they're not going to go with him next year, so they decide to cut the cord now and move on and try and win this game this week that they need to win without him.
Marcus, I have to wonder, what does Haskins' future look like to you?
Very, very sketchy, Ryan, when you think about, look, I want everybody to keep this in context. The Washington football team is about to play a play-in game for the playoffs. And they cut the dude that started 7 days ago for them at the quarterback position. Like, think about that indictment and what the other 31 other teams are looking at and saying to themselves. How does it get this bad that they have to cut Dwayne Haskins before they go into a potential playoff game? And then the second part is this. Like, there are things that we don't know that other organizations will know when they call to inquire about Dwayne Haskins. And I don't want to pile on because the kid is young, and I hope he gets another opportunity to play in this league, to have a chance at success. That doesn't guarantee he's going to be a good quarterback or anything like that, but we know there's talent there through 50 touchdowns at Ohio State. So there's some talent that somebody may want to attach themselves to. But what you have to ask every other team in the NFL, I am going to need you to get over the fact that the Washington football team cut him before a play-in playoff game. That is the biggest indictment on this whole situation when it comes to a football standpoint.
And Jeff, when I think about that, I think about how tough it may be for him to catch on elsewhere.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, think about this, man. Like it's hard. This is not an easy thing to do, to get released. This is the fastest any player's been cut since, I think in NFL history, from a guy who's been drafted 15. Like, it is hard work. From a guy who went in undrafted to all of Swagoo and Dan's points. This was an indictment on he is more of a problem than a solution in a situation where we are trying to make the playoffs. That is never, there is no warm and fuzzies in this thing. And I'm with Swagoo on this. Look, man, I'm a player guy. I want every player to be successful. I want to make the most money they can playing this game. But at some point you have to be a pro's pro. And if you're not handling your business off the field and then on the field, you're walking in and offering nothing to a football team, man, it is tough to get back in. So hopefully he'll get an opportunity to back up somewhere and learn how to be a professional football player and really turn the experience around from where he is right now.
Yeah, maybe it would have been a different story had he been performing on the field, but obviously not. So we'll see what happens next with him. All right, Dan Graziano, want to run the hurry up with you, go through some NFL storylines. Big game this weekend between the Cardinals and the Rams. What's the status of their quarterbacks, starting with Kyler Murray?
Yeah, Kyler Murray injured his leg in the game this weekend. The Cardinals believe that he has a chance to play this weekend. Obviously, they need to get him out on the field, see him move around, and see what he has to offer in terms of mobility and how he's handling that leg injury before they can know for sure. But they're hopeful that they will have him. If they don't, it'll be backup Chris Streveler starting in a must-win game for Arizona. Speaking of backup, the other team in that game, the Rams, will use a backup John Wolford after starter Jared Goff had thumb surgery on his throwing hand. He will have to miss this game. The Rams' hope is that they can win the game or Chicago loses. They get into the postseason, and Goff is ready to go for that playoff game that, again, they still hope to qualify for. So we'll see on that. Kansas City's in. They're locked into the 1 seed. It sounds like Andy Reid is planning to rest some key starters this week to get them prepared for the playoffs. That likely means Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, a lot of guys who have had big years that he decides need a little bit of rest before the postseason starts. Obviously, the Chiefs hope and plan to be playing for at least another month or more, so they'll get their guys a little bit of a breather.
Okay, well deserved, I assume. 14-1, not bad for them. We'll see what happens there. Thank you so much, Dan. Let's move on to college football. Alabama, Notre Dame set to play for the first time since the 2012 BCS National Championship, a game the Crimson Tide won by 28 points. Now, that's just one of several high-profile losses Notre Dame has suffered over the last 20 years. Take a look at this and take it in. Since 1998, Notre Dame has lost all 6 of its BCS and New Year's 6 bowl games, most recently to Clemson in the 2018 Cotton Bowl. Now, the Fighting Irish have been outscored by 144 points during that span. Yet, here is Brian Kelly on what they have to prove.
We're knocking at the door every year, playing really good teams and great opponents, and there's elite football teams. I don't know why this narrative continues to pop up when we're always in the games. No, we haven't won a national championship. That's correct. I'm not changing the record, but we are there every single year, and we are grinding it out just like everybody else.
Let's welcome in Paul Feinbaum and Joey Galloway. Paul, what is your reaction to Brian Kelly's comments?
Well, I mean, not only has Notre Dame not won a national championship, they haven't even competed in these games, and I think that's really the issue here, Ryan. But Brian Kelly is trying to lower the expectations even lower than they already are. Most people think Alabama is going to completely eviscerate them Friday afternoon, and I don't know how you could argue at that point. He's trying to bake into the cake. Listen, we're a great program. We're Notre Dame. We're in the playoffs every year or two. We just can't win the big one, so don't blame me and don't blame my players. I mean, it's a crazy approach, but he's just trying to keep his team calm before they walk into the slaughter Friday afternoon.
It's astounding to me if he's actually thinking that way. The idea of, don't worry, guys, we're still good no matter what. So, Joey, it makes me think, to Brian Kelly's point, do we hold Notre Dame to an unfair standard on the other side of that?
I don't think it's an unfair standard. People just want to see the 4 best teams in the country, and they want to see good games when they get to the college football playoff. And if they're not good games, then the question always arises, did you deserve to be there? Now, I do believe that Notre Dame is one of the 4 best teams in the country, and I believe they have been, in recent years when they get into the playoff. And so I don't look at the end result and say, well, they didn't deserve to be there. They've absolutely earned their right to be there the way they've played this season. I think this is a better football team than we've seen in recent years. Unfortunately for Notre Dame, they're going against a ridiculously good offense in Alabama. So it's going to be tough.
All right, so what has to happen, Joey, for Notre Dame to beat Alabama in this game?
Notre Dame has to run the ball well. If you look at the first time when they played Clemson, when they